My mother-in-law was poisoning me. Then I found out why. Everyone has their own nightmare in-law story, though I couldn't imagine how bad mine would be. As it turned out, the worst thing wasn't my mother-in-law poisoning me. The worst thing was why she did it. I met Craig on one of my rare vacations, and we had sort of a whirlwind relationship. We fell hard for each other and were married in a courthouse wedding within 2 months, without ever meeting each other's families. Mine visited a few weeks later, and after their initial shock, really liked Craig. While we got moved in together and figured out married life, I got to hear more about his parents, who lived near the rest of his extended family a few hours away, though we never saw them. They live a few hours away. A few hours. My work schedule is rough. I work 6 to 7 days a week, and my off days are a blur of appointments and errands. I think in the 2 years before I met Craig, I only left the city once. I finally got a few days off so we could head to visit his family about 6 months later. His whole family came over and everyone seemed thrilled to meet me, except for his mom, Betsy. She was cold and distant and could sit there without saying a single word to me. It was creepy, but I kept trying to spark up a conversation. On our last day, he announced that we should take an afternoon hike up into the national park their house sat on the edge of. Betsy made lunch and I was changing to go out when it hit me. Just wave of nausea. I wound up in the bathroom for hours that afternoon. I figured it was just a touch of something and thought nothing of it. We went back a few months later and again had a great time except for Betsy. She wouldn't talk to me, though Craig brushed it off and said she was just getting to know me. When you are getting to know someone, there's usually efforts made. You make efforts. You don't just sit there. He finally said we could rent jet skis the next day and explore a lake in the next town as a way to get out of the house and unwind, which made me feel better. I was so excited to tell everyone where we were going, but it wasn't to be. After eating, I got so sick I could barely walk for the next 2 days. At this point, I started to get suspicious. No one else was sick, and we all ate the same food. It seemed like Betsy must have been up to something, but it wasn't until our next visit when a night in a romantic cottage another hour up the road was cancelled due to me getting sick that I was sure Betsy was poisoning me. Craig said I was insane, not a choice of words that I would love to use on my partner. He said it must be an allergy to something his mom used in her cooking, which actually made sense, though I never had time for an appointment to get it checked out. Still, I decided on the next trip that I'll make a big casserole and bring it with us. If I cooked the food and served it, nothing could be added. Now that is a smart move. Very smart. Well, I hadn't had 2 bites before I realized I had left the wine I was drinking unattended while I was heating up the casserole and my stomach was already doing flips. Girl, no, you're just being careless. You know, this has happened once, 2 times, 3 times, and you're still being careless with your food. Do you not like your life? You know what happened next, and it was not pretty. I was so sure his mom was poisoning me, and I confronted Craig about it. I told him I wouldn't visit his family again if she was there. It was our first big fight, but he finally said he wouldn't force me to visit and we could figure out how best to deal with the situation. She had never been nice to me, so it wasn't a loss. The next time I got time off, we decided we'd go to that little cottage we had rented before and not been able to use. We were driving right past his family's place and it seemed rude not to stop. So we compromised and bought some pizzas. I even decided just not to drink anything unless it was water from the tap. We got in and threw pizzas on our plates when one of his cousins arrived, and everyone briefly left the food unattended. Girl, do not tell me you are one of those people that left your food unattended, because I will slap sense into you. I realized my mistake almost immediately and decided to try an experiment. Craig and I both had 2 slices. So I just switched our plates while everyone was in the next room. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not going to say that I do not like that. I mean, he thought that you were insane. So like... But don't do it. Don't try it at home. But I love it. Do it again. Craig was so sick. I was really worried about him. Oh my goodness. My heart goes out to Craig. Not. The drive back to the city was awful. We had to pull off a lot, and it was a mess. We had been back home for 3 days before I broke down and told him I had switched the plates. I've never seen such anger before. The rage in his eyes is something I will remember for the rest of my life. He shoved me into a wall and then came flying at me. What? He threw me over the couch, but I somehow managed to grab the keys and my phone and ran out the door, not even wearing shoes. I got lucky with the elevator and made it to a friend's place safely. Finally turning off my phone after I missed his 47th call. I had no idea what to do or when it would be safe to go home. It was the scariest time of my life. Why was he so angry? Do you get my point? Why was he so angry? Like, the same thing has been happening to your wife. Like, it has happened so many times. You didn't do anything about it. I mean, he did try. But like, you even thinking that she was insane when she was complaining to you. You deserved that. Rubbish. It was 2 days before I turned my phone back on, and when I heard the message from the police, I drove upstate immediately. Craig was dead. Your mother-in-law was actually trying to kill you this time. Betty had shot him after he broke into her house and charged at her with a knife. I learned that Craig had been married once before and his wife had died on a tragic hiking accident. Craig made a lot of money in the life insurance payout, and Betty always suspected Craig had killed her and was nervous about letting him be alone with me, especially out in the remote area he was so familiar with from his childhood. So she ensured that every time he planned an outing that I would be sick. It wasn't easy, but she didn't think I would believe her, as no one else had ever shared her suspicions about Craig. I found out the life insurance policies he took out on me without my knowledge afterward and refused to press charges against Betsy. She was only trying to protect me. I still visit her from time to time when I need to get out of the city. I love her cooking. There are so many things wrong with this story. So many freaking things. Number 1, did you not watch Frozen? You cannot marry a man you have just met.
You can't marry a man you just met.
How are you getting married to somebody 2 months after you have just met him without even visiting either of your parents? He didn't know your family members. You didn't know his family members. You don't know where he comes from. You don't know nothing, and you married him. Number 2, why was she poisoning you and not her son? Like, I understand that she was trying to look out for you and whatever you were experiencing, your husband could have been experiencing that. It would have done the same thing. You were not the one that was at fault. It was your son, her son, that was at fault. So she should have been poisoning her son and not you. Girl, I don't, but like, were you desperate or like you just felt like you were so in love with him that you got married to him? Let me know what you guys think about this whole story. Let me know your opinion on this whole story in the comment section. Let us continue this conversation in the comment section so we can interact with each other. Do not forget to subscribe so you can get more interesting stories like this. If you have crazy real life experiences like this or interesting ones with your mother-in-law or your father-in-law or your in-law at all, or any other interesting story that you would love us to uncover on this channel, do so by clicking on our email address in the description box. Just go to the description box. The link to our emails will be there and you can share your stories with us and we would share them on this platform. I am going to be so interested and so thrilled to hear your stories, your crazy experiences and all of those good stuff. Till next time, stay beautiful, stay blessed and stay interesting. Bye.